failed. Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sherricka, and if you are a returning subscriber, family member, or friend, thank you so much for watching my videos. And if you are tuning in for the very first time, all I say is watch my video all the way to the end before you decide. However, if you decide to stick around, please be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the like, and make sure you leave a comment in the box below. Now, thank you. So I have been having something on my heart since yesterday, because yesterday was the first day of the new year and I've already failed. I failed, but I feel like even though I failed on the first day, I did redeem myself. And I just kind of want to share it because this year I'm taking all accountability for actions that are mine, not other people's, but I'm taking accountability for myself. And the reason why I feel like I want to share this is because I feel like it will definitely help someone. So I want to give you a little background before I just start talking about God and Jesus and my love for God and all that good stuff. I want to give you a little background information. So early 2023, summer of 2023, I was baptized. Now, I've always had a love for God. I've always had some type of walk with God. I've always been intrigued in getting to know God more. I've always been just someone who wanted to kind of know the Bible. There's always been that urge, but I've never really taken those steps. But I feel like in 2023, I took those necessary steps. So I had people that were in my life that knew God and talked about God and even prayed with me, and I prayed with them, and I pray often. Like there's no doubt about it. I've always been a praying person. I'm not a pray out loud person. I'm kind of like a pray in private person, because I feel like I don't really know what to say or how to say it, or if I'm saying it right. So I feel like when I just talk to God, when it's just me and him, I can say it however I want to say it, and it not be looked at like, oh, did she just say that? Because like me and God, we be talking, and I talk regular when I talk to him, and I talk my talk, like, and he understands my talk. So I kind of keep that between me and him. So anyway, I say all of that to say, when I started really getting into the Bible, it was because of a friend of mine. We had got reacquainted, or we really never really lost touch, but we were just getting in touch this one day, and I started talking to her about how I would love to like get into a group of people who are studying the Word of God, and so I just took those necessary steps, and it was just me just talking at that point. And when she had told me that, oh, well, I belong to this church, and maybe you should come to church, and such and such is teaching Bible study on this day at this time, and I'm like, oh, I know her, and I'm like, I can get with that, because I can just tell you that there was a person that I was kind of talking that talk with, and it didn't come from a real place. And that's a whole nother video, like a whole nother conversation story video that I would love to put. When you have to find the right people, like when you trying to take that leap, that walk, and you have to find the right people. And when it's not coming from the right people, or God will show you, he'd be like, nah, you don't want to go with that person. Yeah, maybe they think they're walking that walk, but really something's missing, something's not there. And that's a whole nother video, a whole nother time. So anyway, so when I decided to follow the person I'm following now, which is my pastor now, I'm like, oh, I can get with this. Okay, so like I said, a friend of mine had reacquainted me back with the pastor who I follow now. And I was like, okay, yes, this is exactly where I needed to be. And the fact that it happened so fast, like I was just thinking it, I ended up telling her, and then right there, that's when it started. I just kind of got on the Bible study call. I started doing that. I started coming into church. Now, I'm not going to sit up on this app and act like I'm super religious, or I'm just like, I'm not super religious. I'm not even like the most godly person, but you know, with time, you can be that and get that way. And I'm not even trying to say that that's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to make sure that I at least know the word, and that's what I've been working on. So I'll just kind of skip past all of that, but I just wanted to put it in perspective that I am going through that journey, and that's what I've been doing, and that's what's going to lead to this story that I'm getting ready to tell y'all. So not to drag this video out too much, so I'm gonna just skip to New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve, we have Bible study, because we usually have Bible study every Tuesday. And this particular time, I'm like, oh, I'm getting on, because you know, I finally don't have like nothing to do. I was cooking dinner, but I was towards the end, and I'm like, I can get on and I can pay attention and I can really be in it, right? So I got on. And at first it was a little chaotic on my end, because I got my kids, got the phone going, and then I'm cooking dinner. And I'm like, oh, this is what always happens when I'm trying to do Bible call. I get distracted and everything. So anyway, I ended up finishing the dinner though. And then I went to my bedroom, and I'm like, now I can focus. And this Bible study had to be by far the best one ever. So it was talking about getting in alignment with God. And it just went with the new year, new you, your goals for the new year, and how you want to be and how you want to present yourself. And it was just all about that. So we read 2 Peter chapter 1 verses 1 through 13. So if you haven't read those, I would say please read those. Read it, study it. In this particular time, I took notes. I was able to take these beautiful notes with it. All of these beautiful words were put out that we all made a list of, and one of the words was patience. So New Year's Day, everything started off so good. It was perfect. It was perfect. The day was perfect. It was a great day. I went out to go take care of my client that day, and she sent me to the store. And while I was in the store, I had to go to the store anyway. So I was telling her, like, hey, do you need anything before I go? Because I got to stop at the store. If you need something, I can send it right back, because she lives by all the stores. So I'm like, yeah. So she told me what she needed, so I went to the store. And while I was in the store, I was like, well, let me get my baby's stuff, because I get this thing called WIC, where you get the baby food, cereal, and formula. So I was like, oh, I'm going to get everything, because I'm going to be right in this store where I can get it. So I went to the baby aisle. I got all my stuff, all the stuff that I know that I normally get every single time. I got everything. Went up to the customer service counter, because that's where the formula is. So I was just like, I'm going to check out here, everything. So this young kid, and I felt so bad at the end, but hear me out. So he rings up everything now, and then he tells me to put my card in, and everything went through except 2 baby foods, right? So I'm like, okay. I said, well, just take them off. Don't worry about it. Just take the baby foods off. Take the 2 off or whatever. So he was like, well, he's looking on his screen. And I'm like, what is he still looking at his screen for? Just take 2 off, because in my mind, I thought that I picked all of the same baby foods. So I took it a step further. I'm like, let me look in the bags and just see, is there anything different about 2 of them that there is about all the rest, right? So I did. I looked in the bag, and I seen 2 that had this pink print on there, and it said Wonder Foods, and the other ones didn't. So that's where I went wrong. And I didn't pay attention to that when I was picking it. I just was picking in that area where it says I can get my WIC stuff, and it all looked the same to me at first. So I go in the bag, and I'm like, okay, well, I found the 2 that look different. He's still looking at the screen. So I'm like, you could just take them off. I promise you, it's okay. So he's still looking at the screen. I'm still telling him, like, it's okay, just take those 2 off. I said, he's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, sure, it's cool. I said I can come back at another time, because I wasn't about to go back to the baby aisle and find 2 more. It was not that serious. It's people behind me. I'm like, don't worry about it. He's still looking at the screen. Then he's like, okay, well, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take the 2 I'm going to take these 2 off and ring up 2 with the ones that did go through. So I'm like, you sure you ain't got to do it? I'm telling him he ain't got to do all of that. Like, you just take them off. So he did what he said he was going to do. And then I had to put my card in again. And then it, for whatever reason, it denied it again. Or denied the one thing or 2, whatever it was. It kept being where it was denying something. So I'm like, again, don't worry about it. Just take the 2 off and we're just going to keep what went through. Just take 2 off. It was not that big of a deal. He would not drop it. So by the time it was all said and done, I done put my card in there at least 6 different times and kept having to pull it out, and it didn't go through, and it was a mess. Now, at this point now, I'm thinking, okay, you telling me that this ain't working, and now I'm getting nervous that you done took off stuff, and now it's not on there, and now it's on there. It was so confusing. So now I'm getting mad because I'm like, I literally told him in the beginning to just take the 2 off, and I could have been done. 10 minutes later, we still doing this. I'm like, call your manager. Because I'm like, now I don't want none of it. I said, take it all off. But I want to make sure that when I leave this store, that my stuff is still on my cars. Just take it off. And because now I'm mad, I might get a man. Well, I don't know if I can do that. I'm like, no. Oh, you're doing this. I'm like, go get your manager. So the manager comes up. He takes his pleasant time to come up there. And he's looking at my one hand that I have a receipt with money in my hand, because I'm like, well, here, since we're waiting on the manager, why don't you ring up my other stuff that I'm paying with cash for? Ring that stuff up so that when he get up here and fix this situation, I can go, because I've been standing here for like over 10 minutes and I'm irritated because I'm ready to go. So the manager comes up there. He's trying to get my one receipt, and I'm like, this is not the receipt. And he's like, well, I need to see the receipts. And I'm like, no, just check the card. So he's like, well, where's the receipts? So I started grabbing the receipts to him. But my attitude is there. And I'm kind of tossing them. I'm like, here go your receipts. And I'm just pulling them up because there was a bunch of them. I'm pulling them up. Here go your receipts. I said, but those don't have anything to do anything. I said, check the card. Oh, I don't think we can do that. I done been to so many different stores. I done had WIC. Before, I know that a store can check the WIC card before you even buy anything. Your card can be checked. So I'm like, no, I'm not taking that for an answer. So I'm like, check the card, make sure my stuff is back on there, because I want to go now. I'm ready to go. So the young guy that was ringing me out at first, he's so mad at himself and then he's saying it. He's like, I should have just took the 2 off. I'm like, I didn't say anything. But I'm thinking in my head, like, yeah, because now we're so far down the rabbit hole, and, attitudes is flowing mine, and I just felt so bad. So the guy is like, well, you don't have to toss the receipt to me. And I'm like, I'm sorry. You're right. I don't. I said, but I'm ready to get out of here, and I just want to make sure that my stuff is on the car, because I'm just not going to take any of it. I'm not going to take any of it. So then finally, when he showed me that my stuff was back on the car, I said, you know what? I'll just take the formula. I'll leave the other stuff. Just give me the formula. So, he walks away, and the kid is standing. He's like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, it's okay. I say, you know what? I'm overreacting at this point because I'm impatient. I said, it has nothing to do with you. I said, you were just trying to help. And I'm impatient. And right then and there, when I got in the car, I'm like, I failed. God will put a situation where you need to be patient, or whatever it is that you're working on, he will put that situation right there in your face. Like, you almost have to determine which is a devilish thing and what is a God instance, right? And God will literally put you in those positions to see how you react. And I failed. And I felt so bad about it, because I'm like, oh my God, I just had this really good Bible study where I was feeling so motivated to just change and be so good and be the light that I want to be and be the person that I'm really supposed to be. And I failed in that moment because my attitude just got the best of me. So I just say all that to say is, when you're out here in this world, think before you react. Take time to just breathe, because it's not that serious. Like, what was going on was not that, it was not that serious. I did not have to react the way I did. I felt bad for, you know, tossing the receipts up. You know, I shouldn't have been doing that. That's wrong. And then I felt bad for being mean to this kid who was just trying to help. And he wasn't listening to what I was telling him to do. But I still didn't have to react that way. So I'm just saying all that to say, in this new year, let's just learn how to be courteous to the people that are in service, because he is doing the job, and I could potentially have just ruined the rest of his evening because of my attitude. And I don't want to be that kind of person. I don't want to be the kind of person that's like, oh my God, I can't do this job because of customers. Because I have worked in an establishment where I had to deal with people, and it was hard. You know, and I always said to myself, like, oh my God, it's the customers. So I always try to be, I'm not overly nice, because sometimes they're not overly anything. You know what I'm saying? People are just working just to get their paycheck. And that's fine too. So I'm not overly nice to people, but you also don't have to be mean just because. So I'm just saying all that to say is just think, you know, breathe, and then pray. Sometimes, you know, and now it's like when I go into a place, I just want to pray, like, God, just please give me the strength to just get in this store, get out. Because, you know, these service workers these days, they're talking to each other. They don't greet you. There are things. But that doesn't mean that I have to act a certain way just because they are acting the way they act. You don't have to do that. So that's all I'm saying that to say. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for listening. New year, new me. It could be a new year, new you. You just got to work at it. And I'm talking to myself. At the end of the day, this is a testimony for me. This is not for anybody else. It's for me. This is for me just taking accountability. And this is me just sharing my testimony so that it can help somebody else. And it can just, you know, get you to just think about how you treat people and how you make people feel. And that's it. So again, if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching my videos. And if you are not yet subscribed, please subscribe to this video, to this channel, because new year, new us. This channel about to be lit, and I can't wait for all that's to come. Have a great new year. 2025 is only up from here. Thank you.